Alright, so here we go. We're going to be doing the Aery today. This is the level 55 dungeon. I will go ahead and start by talking about the new skill very briefly. Hisatsu Yaten. It's very simple. It's exactly the opposite of Hisatsu Gaioten. So, since Hisatsu Gaioten is a rush forward to the enemy you have targeted, Hisatsu Yaten will be a rush backwards. But on top of just getting that rush backwards, you also get a bonus, which is to give you enhanced NP, which I will show you at some point. It is pretty useful when you're dodging mechanics. So like, for example, you'll just be attacking a boss or whatnot, and then they have an AoE around them, and you want to dodge. You can just use Hisatsu Yaten to get away, and then use Enhanced NP. And Enhanced NP is actually pretty good. Not necessarily for damage, but it is really good for building. I think it gives you 10 Kanki for the Kanki gauge, which is pretty nice. So just pretty standard pull here. Our tank pulled 2 groups at once, which in this dungeon is completely fine, considering how geared they are. Alright, so I'll go ahead and show you this attack here. So Hisatsu Yaten, it's just a gap creator, and then as you can see now I have enhanced NP, so I'll use that. So enhanced NP does more damage than a regular NP, and it also gives you 10 Kanki. So it's definitely nice to utilize that whenever you want to use Hisatsu Yaten. Make sure to use your enhanced NP. NP does require quite a bit of TP though, so if you've been doing a lot of AoE abilities, you might think about not doing enhanced NP. I guess it just depends on the situation really. But at least I personally like to use it whenever I possibly can. And remember, if you have Invigorate, then you get that extra 400 TP every 2 minutes. So that's always nice. Yeah, just another basic pull here. Nothing special about these guys. But then after this pull, I believe we'll be at the first boss. Yeah, we'll be at the first boss. The first boss has a few mechanics. I'll go over them as I see them. Here I am trying to use the level 62 ability again. Not quite. Got quite a few dungeons to do before we get to that ability. So as you can see here, I'm actually not going to use my Madari Setsugeki yet because I want to be able to save all of that for the boss. Start off right off the bat with a really powerful hit. And then I'll get a Higenbana on him. Get that dot damage going. Alright, so here's the first boss, Rongda. Pretty basic, pretty simple. There's really only one mechanic that you need to be looking out for as a DPS. And that basically will receive a tether. And what we're going to want to do is walk over to one of the various dragon statues around the outside of the arena. This attack here is just a room-wide like lightning aspect of the attack, but if you stand right next to him, then you won't take damage. Then you have electrocution, which just kind of randomly shoots out electricity in random directions. So that might hit you, it might not. It really just depends on the RNG you get. Alright, Iospheric Charge. This is the one I was talking about. So, see, I got Spray and here's a tether, so you're going to want to run over to a statue, and the statue will take the tether from you. You definitely need to do this mechanic, especially since the DPS will always get the tether. If you do not successfully drop that tether off at a statue, usually that attack will insta-kill you. So it's definitely something you need to be watching out for. Also, as you see with this attack, it drops a circle on each player. That just walk out of it, easily dodgeable. Also, he'll spawn this ad the second time he does that attack. just kill it quickly. It doesn't have a lot of health, pretty easy to kill. And then back to the boss. So I think at this point we've seen every mechanic, so it's really not that complicated. Just remember that if you get that tether to drop it off at a statue, and you should be fine. So now we'll just finish him off here. So yeah, not that difficult of a boss fight. First boss down. Alright, so from here between the first and second bosses, there are quite a few pulls. All of them are very, very basic. Absolutely no mechanics whatsoever you need to be looking out for. Really, really, really easy stuff. So, knowing our tank and seeing what they've been doing for the previous sections in this dungeon, they're probably going to pull 2 sets of 2 groups, because that's what you can do between here. You can pull 2 groups, and I think there's a single group at the end you can pull. So we'll see what he does here. You don't actually have to kill that dragon, and it will only wake up if you attack it, so you can skip that. It's pretty cool. But of course you can kill it if you want extra experience or whatnot. So yeah, just like Hisatsu Gyuten, like I don't really use that very much. You won't find yourself using it all that much. Mostly just on boss fights whenever you're dodging mechanics and whatnot. You can get right back into the action. Or if you're fighting a boss with a knockback mechanic and you get knocked back a bunch, you can use that to instantly get back and start doing damage again, which is really nice. So those Nidhogg broodlings, as you saw, after you kill them, they do like a little AoE attack. It's really nothing major. Even if you get hit by it, it's very minimal damage. But it's easily dodgeable. Just kill it and run away. So yeah, just like Hisatsu Gyuten is a pretty rare ability to use, Hisatsu Yaten is also pretty rare to use. You're not going to be using it in most situations. I pretty much only use those 2 on bosses for the most part, because that's the only place I really find them to be useful. Of course, if you're fighting an enemy where you have to run far away though, and you want to get right back into the action, you can always use Hisatsu Gyuten, which I talked about a little bit more in the previous video. So I probably shouldn't attack that broodling because now I have aggro on it, but it'll be alright. Go ahead and do some AoE for this group. Looks like we woke that dragon up, so that'll be alright. Oops, I used the wrong ability. I did not mean to do that. I meant to use the Hisatsu Gyuten, but oh well. At this point, it doesn't even matter. I'm just gonna stand in that AoE. Didn't even take damage though, so no loss on that one. So actually I think I was wrong, because those dragons just died in that little AoE looking thing, but it didn't do any damage, so I really don't know what that's all about, actually. I thought it did a little bit of damage, but I guess I was wrong. Alright, so here's the second boss, Gaius Cutis. This boss only really has one mechanic you gotta watch out for, which he will probably start showing around 60 to 70% health, somewhere in there. Of course, I'll cover that as we see it. Ball of Mana is just, he'll just target a random player with an AoE, just move out of it, simple stuff. There he went, targeted me, just move out of it. Body slam, just move away. Here we go, mustard gas. This is the first mechanic. So first of all, you have to locate the mustard gas and then kill it immediately. So what the mustard gas will do is it'll run over to this cloud over here, and it'll use cyclonic separation, and every time it uses that, it's going to become more powerful and do more damage. And if it lives long enough, it'll eventually grow big enough to do enough damage to do significant damage to your party. It'll do a room-wide AoE. So you definitely want to kill the mustard gas as soon as you possibly can. Both DPS need to be working on the mustard gas here. So yeah, that's really all you have to do as a DPS. Just make sure you kill the mustard gas and then go back to the boss. Nothing serious. But if you do forget the mustard gas, it can really be a problem for you. So as you saw there, I had a debuff there that gave me heavy, which can be unfortunate, but as long as your healer's paying attention, which of course my healer is, Cassie's always paying attention, then you have nothing to worry about. They'll just get it off you. I am taking quite a bit of damage here. That's not good. Alright, so this boss is almost finished. We got one more mustard gas. To be honest, we could probably just skip it considering how low the boss's health is, but I'm just gonna go ahead and kill it. Why not? And there we go. That's the second boss. So yeah, nothing too complicated. Just make sure you focus on those mustards. Take them down. And now we're on our way to the third and final boss. Most of the pulls are pretty easy, except the very last pull is sort of an arena type pull, which is unique to this dungeon and this dungeon only, if I remember correctly. Maybe not. In fact, I think Hullbreaker Isle Hard might have a similar thing, which we actually will be covering that dungeon in this series. It's quite a ways down the road though, but we'll get there at some point. Also, while I'm on the topic of future dungeons, I know I started this series with Dusk Vigil. That's a level 51 dungeon, Heavensward dungeon. I do recognize the fact that there are a lot of level 50 dungeons though, and Samurai it does start at level 50. So if you would like me to cover every single level 50 dungeon, including the A Realm Reborn and 2.x dungeons, I will happily do so. Just let me know, and I will do those at some point. I really don't know when though, because if I do them now, it's sort of a sequence break. It wouldn't make much sense if I do like the level 55 dungeon like this one, and then I do a level 50 dungeon. Or maybe I could have like a separate release schedule for those videos where I release, maybe, because right now I've been doing 2 dungeon videos a week, so maybe I could do two progression dungeons. Like I could keep going through the level 50 and 60 dungeons like I am now for Heavensward and onward. I could continue doing 2 of those a week and then add an extra release, do like 1, 2, maybe even up to 3 of those level 50 dungeons, because there are quite a few of them. So I don't know, just let me know down in the comments what you'd like, if you want that at all. If you don't care about any of those level 50 dungeons, then don't worry about it. I'll just skip them, as I already have. I'll just completely ignore them. The reason I skipped them in the first place is because I assumed that for the most part, if someone were to pick up Samurai, at the very earliest they would have to basically complete the 2.0 campaign already, and then there's only 2 level 50 dungeons that you would play with Samurai, and all of the abilities that I covered in my intro video and in Dusk Vigil are available in all of those dungeons. So I felt that you could use that video as a quote-unquote guide for pretty much every dungeon, but of course I don't actually show the dungeons, so all the mechanics you're not going to know. So if you like to do the dungeons, like I said, just let me know. I'll cover them. Otherwise I'll just continue skipping them as I have for now, up till now. So here is the arena area that I was talking about. So there are multiple waves here. At first it's really simple, it just releases just one enemy, but over time it releases more and more of them at a time. It's definitely not complicated. Very, very, very simple. Alright, so here's the second one. As you can see, they've got pretty minimal HP. So after this round, I'm going to start doing AoEs because there's going to be quite a few of them. Alright, so here's where my AoEs come in. And they died very quickly. Alright, and that was the last trash pull. Now we're at the final boss. And this is a very special final boss. This boss plays a very, very big part in the Heavensward storyline. I'm not going to get much into it if you haven't already played through the storyline and you're watching this video. But yeah, this boss here, Nidhogg, very, very heavy part in the storyline. So this guy has quite a few mechanics that can be pretty fatal if you don't pay attention to them. He'll probably start out with his room-wide AoE, which I believe is insta-cast. So you can't, there's nothing you can really do to prepare for it, it just happens. Okay, there's the Scarlet Price. That basically means he's going to target a random party member, although he does not put a marker on you. So he just turns to face you. And you have to move away from where you were standing. He's going to drop one of those Scarlet Orbs on you, which does pretty high damage if it hits you, and will deal damage over time if you stand inside of it. So just completely dodge that if you can. So Deafening Bellow, as you saw there, is the room-wide AoE, which is insta-cast. You can't do anything about it. You can't foresee when it's going to happen, basically. There's no cast time. So you just kind of have to know when it's going to go off so you can prepare for it if you're the healer. Or if you want to put down attacks. Alright, Sable Price is going to target either the healer or one of the two DPS. You need to focus that down ASAP, because if that cast bar finishes, it will kill whoever is trapped. And that's definitely not good if it kills the healer. Definitely not good. So as you can see, Nidhogg here really doesn't have a lot of HP, but there's a reason for that. That's for this reason here. There's an ad phase in the middle of this fight. It's pretty considerable. So it's just going to spawn a few different waves of ads. You just have to kill them. Nothing major. Although I guess I should mention, this dungeon does have a bit of a twist. This fight right here, Estinian Wormblood, the ads are actually attacking him, not us. Which means we have to kill them fast enough so that he does not die. Now, the healer in your party can heal him, which is very, very convenient and recommended. So as you can see there, our healer's just putting a regen on him every once in a while, which should be plenty to keep him alive. This ad phase does have a DPS check, which is coming up. It's not this enemy here, but it's the next one that spawns. You have to kill him within a certain period of time, or your party will be wiped. It's really not that hard, though. It's the only enemy on screen. This one right here. So just kill him as fast as possible. Nidhogg first is back there, and he starts his Massacre cast there, as you can see. Once that finishes, he does a room-wide AoE that will wipe anyone that's not standing inside this bubble. So you have to stand in this bubble or you're gonna die. So unfortunately, our tank over there is DCing, so he's gonna die. Yep. So that happened, unfortunately. Hopefully, I guess I'm up to tank this now, since our tank is gone. Hopefully our healer can keep me alive. Let's see how this goes. Let's get off the limit break. Might as well. Wow, that did a lot of damage. So that limit break actually finished the fight. I was not expecting that. So, unfortunately our tank did DC there, but we still finished it off strong. Nothing too major there. Go ahead and give it to the tank. They did pretty well. Gallarhorn. That brings back some memories. From Destiny. That's an exotic rocket launcher in Destiny. Anyway, Destiny has nothing to do with Final Fantasy dungeons. So, yeah, that was the Aery. Nothing too complicated. The bosses are a little more difficult than the previous dungeons, but still nothing that bad. It looks like he's still DC'd here. Says he's watching the cutscene. I'm not really sure. Oh, he's gone. That's unfortunate. Oh well, it happens. Alright, well, I think that's going to be it for this video. I got a player comm as a DPS. That's actually pretty uncommon. Usually we get those as a tank or healer. But yeah, thank you for watching, and in the next video I will cover the next dungeon, which is the Vault. This dungeon has quite a few boss mechanics that can really mess you up if you don't know what you're doing, so this one will be a fun one to explain. This is probably the first actual difficult dungeon in Heavensward. So yeah, I look forward to seeing you in the next video. See you next time.